Good morning everyone, it's Thursday morning. It is time for our level 1 mat class, and as always I need to let you know that you're taking part in this class at your own risk. So please do listen to your bodies, stay safe, make sure that you're moving appropriately for any conditions that you might have that you need to be aware of and careful with. Safely a working area, and this morning we are going to be using resistance bands. So I've had a little bit of a request for adding in some apparatus, so we're going to be using different things over the next few weeks, but don't worry if you haven't got them, you can still do the exercises without. So they're just going to be variations on what you already know and have done. So I can show you how to do the exercises without, or you can just simply leave it out, especially with the resistance bands today. If you haven't got resistance bands, a couple of tins out the cupboard will be absolutely fine. You just need to have some kind of a weight instead. Remember to pick them up and put them down safely and carefully, even though they don't weigh very much, so always hold them close to the body and do a squat to put them down or pick them up. Now, resistance bands. Oh, don't need that sock. Right. Just hold your band up if you're using one and just look down the edges, just check for any nicks or tears. Last thing we want is for that to rip while you're in the middle of using it. Okay, so listen to your bodies when you're using a resistance band. You can make it tougher, you can make it lighter. So we're never going to work through pain. Effort is fine, okay? Little bit or a lot of effort depending on what you want, but as long as that's not causing pain and severe discomfort in the body. Okay, so you can do them without, you can use the band and adjust the resistance accordingly. Same with the weights. If you don't like it with the weights, pop the weights down, just leave them to the side. But make sure when we're not using the band that it isn't a trip hazard and it's out of your working area. So I'm only going to be using the light one today. We're going to be focusing mainly on shoulders and upper body. We're going to be using it for a little bit of core work too. So I'm popping mine down there so I'm not going to trip it off my mat. Right, so it is time for us to make a start, and today we're actually going to start down on the mats. So I am going to just, I don't know what this is, close that and then I can actually see me and see what I'm teaching you. So bring yourselves down safely. One thing, sorry, just before you go down onto the mat, is if you have a diastasis hernia or a prolapse, if you would like to grab either a cushion or if you've got a Pilates ball, grab one of those, okay, so that you can do some different variations on the exercises. So we're going to come safely down onto the mat. We will finish in standing, don't worry, there will be some monkey squats. Alright, coming down onto the mat, make sure you support yourself. And we're just going to find that we've got the shoulders open, so you should be resting onto your little fingers here. Chin is nodded, so you're seeing more ceiling in front of you than behind. So if you struggle with that, if that's uncomfortable, please do prop your head up as much as you need to make sure that that's comfortable. But if you can do without, please try and do without. So we want the chin down and you're resting more towards the base of the skull. Shoulders are open. How much shoulder can you get onto the mat? And then just being aware of the rib cage. If you can feel your shoulder blades, can you also feel that that bottom rib is down on the mat, or are you a little bit arched? Just see if you can bring that down for me so that we have the arch in the small of the back. And then feeling how the pelvis is sitting. Have you got some space between your ribs and your hips so that we can really activate that core? And finding that you've got the same pressure on each side. Okay, you might feel that you're pressing more on one side than the other. Just see if you can even that out for me. Okay, feet and knees hip distance, knees pointing at the ceiling, and you've got all your toes down on the mat. And we're going to start by imagining we've got a little marble halfway between your pubic bone and your tummy button, just sitting there. Could you take a big breath in, feel the rib cage expand on the mat, and then exhale through the mouth. Big breath in, Fill the lungs before you allow the tummy to rise, but we're not focusing too much on that. But if you do find that you've just got a lot of tummy breathing going on, see if you can focus more into your rib cage. Now, I'd like to think about where your waistband is and your tummy button, because often Pilates instructors, yoga instructors tell people to draw the tummy button towards the spine. Now, I really don't like that cue because I feel it makes people just pull in at the waistband, okay, and we don't get activation of all the other muscles. So I'd like you to really connect with what you're feeling, and on your next exhale, could you gently bring the spine into the mat? So you're rolling that marble towards your tummy button. As you inhale, you're going to tilt it back again. So we're not forcing this movement, we're just feeling it happen. And I'd like you to just notice what muscles, what area of muscle you feel working. Are you just pulling in at your waistband? Are you squeezing your bottom to do it? What I'd like you to think of doing is drawing up from the pubic bone evenly towards the rib cage. So it's not a forced movement, it's gentle, but we are working on activating all of that area. So let's just do that a couple more times, see if we can get that movement happening. If you like, you can add in a pelvic floor squeeze. Excuse me. So, strong breath out. Feel that that comes all the way up to the ribs. Now, that marble's sitting back in the middle again. Can we roll it towards one hip? And then back to the middle. And then to the other hip. So you're going to see a gentle shifting of the legs. Just going side to side. And this is a great way of mobilising your spine, especially if it feels quite stiff in the mornings, or if you've had a bad back and it's coming out of spasm. Let's see if we can put those together now. So could you roll towards one hip, roll the marble towards your tummy button, over to the other hip, and then back to the middle. Now let's go the other way. To the hip, towards the tummy button, other hip, and middle. So you're just going to reverse direction each time. Hip bone, tummy button, other hip, and centre. One last time like this. And back to the middle. Now, some of you might not like this next move, in which case you're going to keep just rolling towards the tummy button and back. But if you can, could you roll towards the tummy button? And then, can you, without the ribs lifting too much, can you roll that marble away so that you'll feel it'll drop between your feet? Let's roll it back towards the tummy button. So if that part of the movement doesn't feel good for you, just stay with rolling towards the tummy button and back. But if you can you roll that marble away so that it drops between the feet? And then let's find that lovely central point where we've got that marble sitting in the middle again. Shoulders are open. We're going to go into heel slides now. So I want you to be very aware of keeping that marble in the middle. Let's slide one leg out, take the opposite arm overhead, stretch out. Exhale, draw back in. Did your bottom ribs stay down? Let's inhale, stretch out. Exhale, draw back in. Now, if that feels okay for you and you're staying neutral, could you add in a lift for me? Could you stretch that leg out and then lift it so that your knees are the same height? Lower it back down and draw back in. Did your spine stay neutral? Have you kept that marble in the middle? Sliding out, lift, down and back in. And let's keep that going from side to side, but being very aware of the stability of the pelvis. So it's a straight leg that lowers. Don't be tempted to just step it in. We're sliding out, lifting. Oh, my voice is going funny. Lowering and back in. One more each side. I think I've been talking too much. And back in. Last one. And in. Fantastic. Right, we're going to go into knee drops now. So I'd like you to take your hands onto your hip bones. Keep that neutral spine. We're going to drop one knee out to the side and pull back up. Now, did you keep the same pressure on the pelvis at the back? Can you take the other leg out? So you're rolling over the side of the foot. You might find it helpful to take a breath out as you lower. That's going to help you to activate that core and keep everything still. So this is what this exercise is about. Yes, we're getting some mobility in the hip socket, but this is more about your core resisting following your knee over to the side. Okay, so it's really good core activation. Your knee should be staying still, the other knee, and pointing at the ceiling. Let's do one more to each side. And back up. Fantastic. Right, we're going to go from that into toe tap. So let's take the arms long again. Let's bring just one leg up. Make sure you've got a good bend at the knee so you can't see your foot, it's not up here. Hamstrings are switched on. Can you keep that marble in the middle and push that leg forwards, tap the toe to the floor and lift back up. So this movement, you can see it's coming from the hip, it's not coming from the knee. It's a push away of the knee and back up. So let's push and up. Two more this leg. And you should feel, if you're doing this correctly, some really good core activation. Let's step that leg down, go to the other side. Again, making sure we've got a good bend at the knee and we're even across the back of the pelvis. Marble is sitting in the middle. Push and tap away and up. So very much focusing on the strength and stability of the core. One last one. And stepping in. Okay, from there we're going to go to shoulder bridge. Now if you are propped up on cushions, if you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, I'd like you to just come to the bottom of the rib cage and no higher, please. So let's think about that marble again. Can you roll it towards your tummy button once more and then start to push into the heels, lifting the hips. So if you're coming just to the rib cage, you're only coming to here. If you're going higher, you're sending those knees forwards. Take a breath in at the top. And as you exhale, can you think about that marble rolling towards the tummy button, and then can you roll it back to the centre? So hopefully that's helping you to get a bit more movement into the lower back. We're pushing forwards. So I'd like you to feel at the top that you've got the glutes switched on and you're not rolled back into your shoulders, you're pushing away from the shoulders. Curl back down. And we're getting some nice hamstrings here as well. Let's do that one more time. Pushing forwards. And curling back down. Back to neutral. Okay, we're going to add in the resistance band now. I bet you're thinking, when's she going to do that? So, first one we're going to do is, can you safely bring one leg up and take your foot into the band? Okay, so we want it more around the ball of the foot and the arch. And whichever leg you've got, the same arm you're going to fix down on the mat. Could you push that knee forwards for me so that your knee's over your hip? And we're going to take the other arm up. Now you might want a little bit more band on one side. We're going to point at the ceiling. Shoulders are open. You're going to take that arm back. Exhale. And back up. I need a bit more space behind me. I'm just going to shuffle down the mat. Okay. Marble sitting in the middle. Exhale. Take that arm over. If your shoulder doesn't like this, reduce your range of movement or do it without the band. Now could you focus on your rib cage for me? As you exhale and reach over, is your bottom rib staying down? Exhale. So again, we're working that core as we work the arm. Push and up. Is your leg starting to wobble yet? And up. Okay, from there you can take the leg lower if you wish to, but could you now bring both elbows down and exhale, push that leg out so the knees are the same height. Bring it back in. Breath out, pushing forwards. Breath in to return. So if you had weights, you can pop these down for this one. Is that marble staying in the middle? So if you need to take your heel along the mat instead, you could do that. One last one with this leg, pushing out and then coming back in. Now we're going to lower that heel down. Could you step the other foot in and take that first leg out? Okay, now we've changed sides. So let's bring the leg up into that nice tabletop position. Same arm is fixed down on the mat and we're going to take the other arm up to pointing at the ceiling. Just check that your shoulder hasn't lifted off the mat. Can you keep it down? Let's focus on that rib cage now. Breath in, exhale, take the arm all the weight. If you've got a weight, you can use this overhead. So you might want to grip that band with the fingers, or you might be happy just holding it into the thumb. Exhale. Bottom rib is staying down, so don't worry if that arm won't go all the way back. What we want to do here is increase the range of movement and increase core strength. Let's do a couple more. Last one. And in. So returning to the leg now. Keeping the marble in the middle. Exhale, push the leg out and bring it back in. You might want to change your resistance and feel that you've got a bit more of a push. But because we're using a band, we've got a bit of support now. So this may enable you to do this exercise when normally you wouldn't be able to. So So checking as you exhale that you feel the abdominals draw in rather than anything pushing out or bulging. So we want to make sure that we're staying safe. Let's do a couple more. One last one. And back in. Okay, let's bring that heel down. Take the other leg in, and what you're going to do is allow that band to come up behind the knees. Now, if I said you could use a cushion, if you have diastasis hernia or prolapse, could you take that cushion between, or ball between your knees, and you're going to squeeze instead. So you might want to take your feet a little bit closer. You can bring your feet together. We're going to hold the band. We need to hold it up. So brace those shoulders wide. One potato, two potato with the arms. And we're going into a knee drop. So you're going to push out this time and back up. Remember, you can do this without the band. Same leg. Let's keep working that same side. Now, if this brings on sciatic symptoms, take the band away and just focus on core stability. If you're feeling an uncomfortable grip in the front of the hip, in the crease of the hip, think about pressing your heel into the floor as you work. Let's take two more on this side. And up. Okay, bring the arms down, give them a rest, take a breath in. Exhale, take them back up again. Changing sides. Pushing out. And back up. Are you able to keep same pressure on each side of your pelvis here? Is the other foot staying still? Have you still got your big toe on the floor? Could you give me two more? If you need to stop and have a rest, please do. Last one. And bring the arms down. Let's take a breath in. Exhale, we're going to release. Take that band out from behind the legs. Okay. And we're going to roll ourselves over onto the side and we're going to push up. So exhale, push up, just take a moment. We've been lying down for a while, we don't want to feel dizzy. But we're going to come up onto the knees now. So if kneeling is uncomfortable for you, you could come up into standing. Again, at diastasis hernia, prolapse, you might want to keep that ball or cushion between the knees and keep focusing on that squeeze as you exhale. Now we're going to take the band. You want to have a little bit of a loop in it. So if you've got weights, you can do this with the weights. We're kneeling up tall, so feel that the glutes are working, the core is working, the hamstrings are on. And we're going to take the band, palms facing downwards, up to shoulder height if that's available for you. Let's make sure we've got a little bit of a shoulder retraction there, chin back, taking a breath in. Exhale, can you pull out without the wrists going, okay? Strong wrists. Stretch the band out. So if that was a bit too tough, loosen the band. Exhale, we're pulling out. Inhale, back in. So if shoulder height isn't available, feel free to take it lower. You might want to take this more sort of waist height. Okay, that's absolutely fine. If you can work up to shoulder height, stay here. Let's do one more. And back in. Let's bring that down. And we're going to swap our grip. So you now want the band same width as the body, shoulder width, palms facing upwards, and we're going into dumb waiter. So remember, the elbows are at the side of the ribs, but they're not tucked in. Chin back, breath in. Now let's exhale, stretch the band out. Again, you can do this with your weights. You can do this without anything if you'd rather. Exhale. Are both arms moving evenly? So if you have got a shoulder issue or injury at the moment, let's work to the side that needs to catch up. Aiming to get some more symmetry into the body. How are the wrists doing? Are they flexing to help? Might be that you need to just loosen that band a little. We're going to do one more. And back in. Fantastic. Give those shoulders a roll. Let's just turn the chin over one shoulder and bring it down towards the collarbone. Lift and centre. Turning the other way. Nodding down. Lift and centre. Right, from there we're going to come into a half kneel. And you're going to kneel onto the band. So let's pop the knee on the band, just give it a pull, make sure it's under nice and secure. And then if you need a wall for support or something sturdy to step that other leg forwards and get into position, make sure you stay safe. I'd like you to just check that you have got your ankle underneath your knee and you're pressing down through that foot. Hips are level so you can feel this hamstring is switched on. Now we're going to grab that band again, wrap round with the fingers, grip through the palm, one potato, two potato, shoulders back and down, rib cage down. Now we're going to lift up slightly, depends on the tension of your band as to where you can get to with this. So we're going to bring this in and exhale, push out. Stay really tall. The more you lift up out of your hips, the more core activation you're going to get. Inhale as you bring that band in. Exhale on the effort, feel that core switch on. Are you still pressing down through that front leg? Is it all active and working for you? So try not to just lean back into this knee. Now, give me one more. If you've got diastasis, hernia prolapse, can you stay with this? So take a little break and then give me a few more. But if it's available to you, osteoporosis, osteopenia as well, you're going to stay here. Otherwise, we're going to stay with the arms extended. Take a breath in and exhale. You're going to turn. Bring that band over the knee. Inhale, centre. Lift and exhale. Inhale, centre. Could you keep that going for me? What I'd like you to feel is that you've got a diagonal connection across the body. You've got two sets of muscles switching on, one underneath the ribs, one just inside the hip. So can you feel for that for me? Make sure both are switching on. You've done the tap activation before now, so if you need to do that, you're going to do that. Could you give me one more? Fantastic. Right, let's release and we're going to go to the other side. So again, if you need a bit of support to get yourself into position, please do. We've got a nice even loop. Same amount of tail on each end. Underneath the other knee, give it a pull, check it's secure. Support if you need it. Step the leg forwards. And then making sure that you feel you're pressing down into this foot as well. Hips are level, hamstring is switched on. So if you've got a bit of a hitch, you won't feel that hamstring working. And it'll be harder to get that core activation too. So one potato, two potato. We're not gripping with the thumbs. Let's bring that band up. Remember, you can do this with your weights. Bring it in, inhale, exhale, pushing out. And we're staying really tall, we're lifting out of those hips. If you're feeling okay, could you give me 2 more? Are you still pressing down through that front foot? One last one. Now either have a little break and give me a few more, or stay here. Inhale, exhale, rotate. Inhale back to centre, exhale, rotate. Inhale. So we've got 4 more to do. Try not to clench the jaw or tense up through the shoulders. Feel it's more activation in the core. So if you are clenching, just try and relax the jaw, lift out of the hips, keep that movement going. Are you getting that nice diagonal connection? I think you've probably got 1 more to do. So when you've done that, I'm going to take the band out from underneath the knee. And we're going to come into seated now. So you can do this on a chair, or you're going to come into seated. If you need to sit on a cushion, that's fine. Ideally, I would like you here. If that's not comfortable for your hips, you could sit cross-legged instead. Now, shoulder issues, you might want to keep this lower. If it's available to you, you're going to take the arms up. Just check that your shoulders haven't travelled with you. Could you slide your shoulder blades down your back and feel the shoulders widen? Now, if you have blood pressure issues, you might also want to stay here. If you've got osteoporosis, osteopenia, you're going to keep this movement very small. Okay, shoulders down, chin back. We're going to take a breath in, lean over that front leg, exhale, pulling back up tall. We're going to inhale over, exhale, come up tall. Could you give me 1 more? Now, if that was a bit challenging, stay there, okay? Take a little breather and then give me a few more. If you feel you could move on from that, we're going to take a breath in. Can you come a bit further over? Can you push that arm down? Lift this other arm, feel that resistance, pull back up. So we go over, inhale, exhale, push down, push up, and exhale, come all the way back up. Let's do that 2 more times. So this is a variation of your mermaid exercise. Let's do 1 more. Breath in. So we exhale on that effort. Let's bring the arms down and give the shoulders a roll. Okay, taking the legs to the other side. So if you have got your legs crossed, could you please cross them the other way? It'll feel odd, but give it a go. Right, so we've got the band, the width of our knees, hips are settled, we're sitting tall. I'm going to start off nice and gently. Let's bring that band up, shoulders down, and just a little movement over and back up. So it's the body that's moving. We're not just waving our band in the air like we're at a Bay City Rollers concert. Okay, make sure you go with it. We're going over. If you're moving this on, pushing down, push up, exhale up. Inhale. Now exhale. Breath in. Use that tension to bring you back up. Let's do a couple more. Over Make sure that body's moving. One last one. And up. Bringing that band down. Roll the shoulders. Okay, popping the band just safely out of your working area for a moment. We're going to come into 4-point position. So if you aren't wanting to kneel and you're sat in the chair, you're going to do pelvic tilts in the chair. So we're coming over, knees underneath the hips, wrists underneath the shoulders, making sure that we're over those wrists rather than behind them. Long spine, lengthen the back of the neck. This is cat curls. Taking that breath in. Exhale. Lifting, so remember rolling that marble. I want you to get that same feeling, but we can come up to the rib cage and we can go further. So if you have spine issues, don't force this movement. I want you to just gently mobilise. And then coming back through the other way, could you glide your shoulder blades towards your hips rather than pulling your armpits towards your hips, and lift away from the floor. Curling under. And coming back again. One more. And back, shoulders back. Lift the heart. And back to neutral. Wonderful. Okay, from there we're going to tuck the toes. We're coming up with a squat. So, hands next to the knees. If you need to do it a different way that's safer for you, remember in a squat we don't round the spine, so think about keeping the spine neutral. Push the heels down, lift the chest and pushing back up. Okay, promised you we'd finish in standing, didn't I? So we're going to grab that band. If you've got your weights, safely grabbing those weights. You're only going to need one. We're going to take that band down onto the floor and we're going to step onto it. Hip distance, feet parallel, toes level, arches lifted, and we're going to have the palm facing forwards. I'm going to grip with the fingers and the palm and just check that you haven't locked your elbow out. So the inside of the elbow is facing the front and it's slightly soft. Now we're not going to be moving far, so you might want a bit of tension on this. We're going to pull up tall, take a breath in, and as you exhale you're only going to lift out to here. So just 30 degrees. If that wasn't enough tension, adjust it on your band. If it was too much, make sure that you change it. So if that's making your wrist flex or your elbow lock, maybe just loosen that band off a little. But as you do this, can you feel how the other side of the body switches on? We've got some really good core activation stopping us from doing that. That's the easy way out. We're not taking the easy way out. We're staying really tall and pulling up out of the hips. Exhale. And inhale. Let's do a couple more. And one last one. Now, as you come in this time, we're going to swap hands and we're taking the hand onto the hip bone. So it's not up on the top of the hip, it's at the front of the pelvis. Check that your shoulders are still square and we're going in to draw the sword. Fantastic one for shoulder issues. Let's take a breath in, grow taller. And as you exhale, pull up to the bottom of the ribs. Inhale back to the hip. Exhale, pull up. Now, can you see that elbow out of the corner of your eye? Keep this going for me. We want to be able to see the elbow rather than have pulled it round the body. This shoulder is staying down. So try not to lift that shoulder up. We want to be working these muscles here in the shoulder cap rather than up into the neck. So let's do 2 more. Exhale and inhale. One last one. And down. Fantastic. Right, let's swap sides now. So taking the band under that other foot, give it a pull, check it's secure. Remember, you want a bit of tension on here because we don't want to lift too high. So I'm gripping with the fingers and the palm rather than the thumb. Standing tall. Exhale, just coming out to 30 degrees. Breath out. Feel how that makes this side switch on. Stay really tall. Exhale, lifting up. Pulling up tall. Let's do one more. And swapping hands. So you might want to just loosen that tension a little. Grip through the palm and fingers. Hand onto the hip bone. So not up on the top of the hip, onto the front of the pelvis. Shoulder back, standing tall. Breath in. Exhale, pulling out. So this is draw the sword. Neck is staying long as we lift up, and you can see that elbow out of the corner of your eye. So if you've got a weight, you're just drawing it across the body from the hip to the ribs. Let's take 2 more, and one last one. And release. Wonderful. From there, we need to do some monkey squats. So, taking your band out flat. If you've got weights, don't worry, you can still do this with the weights. And you're going to take it across the bottom of the rib cage, the shoulder blades. Let's step those feet a little bit wider and gripping onto that band. So you've got it nice and snug. Let's start with a big breath in and feel that you stretch the band. And exhale. Okay, let's come into a squat as we inhale. Now exhale, you're going to push up and out. Adjust your resistance as you need to, so knees over toes as you come down, breath in. Exhale, pushing up and out. Now you'll notice my shoulders are staying wide. I'm pushing through the arms rather than through the back. Okay, collarbones stay wide. Breath in as we lower. Breath out as we push up. Knees over toes and arches lifted. 2 more. One last one. And release. Okay, pop that band or your weights safely out of your working area. And we're going to finish in our good standing posture. We need to give those arms and shoulders a bit of a stretch and the core as well. So if it's available to you, you're going to take one arm out. Hand is above the elbow, so it's on the upper arm rather than on the joint itself. Could you keep that shoulder down and pull the arm across the body? So we're taking a really nice stretch here into the shoulders. Just breathe into it. And release. Let's take the other side. Arm comes out. We take the hand round, shoulder stays down, and we pull across. So I very often see people doing this stretch with their shoulder up here. That's not going to give you the stretch in the right place. So So do make sure we maintain that length in the neck, the shoulder stays down, even if it means your arm is only coming to here. Okay, you're stretching the right area. And let's release. Can you clasp your hands together behind your back now? Open the shoulders and just push away. Feel the chest open. Is your chin back? Watch for doing that. Try and keep that chin over the collarbones. Stretch away. And release. And roll. Okay, from there, we're going to go into a side stretch. So if arm up isn't available to you, come across the chest. But we're going to take a lovely big reach up out of the hips and over. Inhale. Hold it there. Breath in. And exhale down. We'll take that to the other side. Reaching out of the hips. So think more of reaching for the ceiling rather than the wall at the side. So reach out of the hips. Breath in. And down. Okay, roll those shoulders. And let's soften the knees and take a lovely big stretch up. Really breathe in and reach. And exhale. And thank you very much for joining me this morning. I hope you enjoyed that, just using something a little bit different. And like I said, we're going to keep adding in some props over the next few weeks into these classes. So watch out for those, and don't worry if you haven't got them. Like I said, you can do the exercises perfectly well without. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. So, good morning, Christine.